Dubai, the most populous city of the United Arab Emirates, has a horizon that is constantly changing and developing. But while there are plenty of billion-dollar projects reshaping the skyline, there are more, even crazier creations being planned underneath its waters. Have I piqued your curiosity? Well, get ready to feast your eyes on some of Dubai's skyline delights under development, ranging from cities and genie lamps to underwater trains. Yeah, I'm not joking about that last one. So take a deep breath and hold it tight because we're about to dive right in. Amazing Aquarail. The history of human transportation is truly amazing. We've gone from walking to riding horses to driving four-wheeled machines and are about to graduate to shooting ourselves through tubes in the ocean at 600 miles per hour. Yeah, you heard me right. The UAE-based company National Advisor Bureau Limited have pitched the construction of a train line that will take you directly from Dubai to Mumbai, India. Considering these two cities are 1,202 miles apart, that would be a pretty big endeavor on its own. It's made even more impressive when you consider that there's hundreds of miles of ocean between them. So how are they going to do it? Well, they're not just putting rails on the ocean floor. According to NABL, they'll install two huge curved concrete tubes in the Arabian Sea. These tubes will float in the water and will be totally watertight to avoid erosion or damage on the inside. NABL will then attach these tubes to a series of industrial-scale pontoons for stabilization. With a set of two tubes supported, each tube will house just one rail line, so trains can travel from both directions. Not only that, but the tubes will also contain a series of pipelines that'll import and export gas, oil, and water between Mumbai and the UAE. That's some mega multitasking. Now, the train journey between Dubai and Mumbai will apparently take as little as 2 hours. Wait, aren't these cities over 1,200 miles apart? I mean, getting a train from London to Paris takes 2 hours and 15 minutes, and those two cities are only 302 miles apart. Well, apparently, the NABL are planning to make the tubes completely airtight, so that the trains will operate in a vacuum to reduce air resistance. But that alone won't be enough to make a regular train travel at the speed of light. So it seems Dubai is looking to use a state-of-the-art type of transport, utilizing maglev technology. Maglev, which stands for magnetic levitation, uses a series of electromagnets cooled to a freezing minus 450 degrees Fahrenheit. At this super low temperature, the electromagnets generate magnetic fields that are up to 10 times greater than ordinary electromagnets. So when these super-cooled tracks come into contact with the opposing magnets placed on the sides of the train, they repel one another and allow the train to levitate. This provides an almost frictionless ride, allowing trains to reach up to a breakneck 311 miles per hour on land. However, without any friction, elevation changes, or air resistance in the vacuum of the tunnel, trains on the Aquarail will theoretically be able to travel at roughly 600 miles per hour. This is obviously a hugely ambitious project, and while its concepts were drawn up in 2019, there's been no word on the project since. Man, if I can't ride the train, I at least want to be the first person on Earth to travel from Dubai to Mumbai by hopping across the pontoons. Well, if hopping over massive pontoons is out of the question, why don't you hop over to those like and subscribe buttons down below instead? Hitting them helps keep me afloat, don't you know? Alright, what other amazing mega projects has Dubai got in the pipeline? Aladdin City. What would you wish for if you came across a genie lamp? Okay, now what if you found 3? Looking like a series of massive magical lamps, the appropriately named Aladdin City is a bizarre mega project under development in Dubai that's predicted to cost a brain-melting $15 billion. The giant structures will resemble genie lamps along the Dubai Creek, the tallest of which will be 34 stories and will house everything from hotels and residential housing to large-scale garages.
The lamps will be attached to each other and the entire complex will span 1,500 feet. For perspective, that's wider than the Empire State Building is tall.
Each of the 3 lamp cities will be inspired by a different tale from the classic 1001 Arabian Nights fable, which is where the story of Aladdin originally comes from. So far, only Aladdin and Sinbad have been revealed, but if I had to pick another Arabian Nights story to theme the 3rd tower around, it would be The Bull and the Ass. I don't know what happens in that story, but I'd like to see a billion-dollar city tower themed around it. Unfortunately, while construction was supposed to begin in 2016, there's been no progress updates on this project. And a quick look at Google Earth reveals the site has now been converted into a pretty boring-looking wharf. I wonder how many lamps Dubai will need to rub to make this project a reality. Ain Dubai. The London Eye in sunny old England is an iconic landmark, and many know it as the biggest Ferris wheel in the world. Though in reality, none of that is true. The Las Vegas High Roller is bigger, England isn't sunny, and technically neither of them are Ferris wheels. They're observation wheels, well, whatever you call them. They both just had their butts kicked by the Ain Dubai. Already built, the Ain Dubai is a staggering 820 feet tall. That not only makes the Ain Dubai 377 feet taller than the London Eye, but also 270 feet taller than the High Roller. Completed in 2021, the wheel took 6 years, 11,200 tons of steel, and a whopping $1.6 billion to build. Yeah, that's billion with a B. The Ain Dubai also has an impressive carrying capacity, with each of its 40-person pods allowing it to hold a maximum total of 1,750 passengers, with premium cabins even serving food. So not only is this the one big wheel in Dubai's skyline, it's also a massive middle finger to both London and Las Vegas. A new record breaker. When the Burj Khalifa opened its doors in 2010, it put Dubai on the map. The astonishing building is the tallest in the world, standing at an astounding 2,717 feet. Well, Dubai wasn't content to rest on its laurels for too long because in 2016 they announced their plans to spend $1 billion building the Dubai Creek Tower. When it was first unveiled, the plans for this tower had it set to stand at an amazing 3,045 feet tall, over 300 feet taller than the Burj Khalifa. However, since it was announced, the estimated height of the tower has jumped up to an absurd 4,265 feet. This would make it 1,553 feet taller than the Burj Khalifa. That's taller than adding a whole Empire State Building on top of the Burj Khalifa. That'll definitely stop any other countries from trying to steal Dubai's tallest tower title. Despite standing at such a ridiculous height, the Dubai Creek Tower will only have 20 floors and 10 observation decks built into that pretty minaret-shaped butt at the top. For comparison, the Burj Khalifa has 200 floors, 160 of which are used. That means less than 30% of the Dubai Creek Tower will be useful space. Even so, the early stages of construction began in 2018 when 1.7 million cubic feet of concrete was poured into a cap in the ground, weighing in at 130,000 tons. These foundations on their own weigh 5 times as much as the Statue of Liberty. But sadly, that's all Dubai currently has to show for it. The 2008 financial crash had a domino effect on Dubai's economy and brought vanity projects like the Creek Tower to a standstill.
While developers initially insisted the tower would be finished by 2022, it seems they may just have had high hopes.
One to watch. Introducing One Dubai, which is a beautiful, if deceptively named project. You see, One Dubai isn't one tower, it's 3. The goal of One Dubai is to construct 3 towers next to each other in a triangular formation. The tallest of the 3 towers will be 3,218 feet tall. That's almost 500 feet bigger than the Burj Khalifa. It'll feature a mix of hotels and residential apartments spread over a mammoth 201 floors. and that's just the main building. What's more, the three towers will be connected to one another by a series of sky bridges, which will serve as meeting spots as well as viewing platforms, providing some mind-boggling views. While One Dubai hasn't been officially cancelled, construction was meant to begin all the way back in 2008, and so far, there's no sign of it. Now, progress on this project is pretty difficult to follow because One Dubai is actually a different project to One Dubai. Confused? Yeah, me too.
ONE Dubai is this tower, which kinda looks like three smaller buildings stacked on top of each other. Don't worry if these similar names confuse you. They confuse Google too.
Meydan Dubai. Dubai lies in the middle of the Arabian Desert, which means the city can get real hot. Summer months can reach blistering temperatures of 120 degrees Fahrenheit, with only slow breezes and the shade from its towers to cool you down. Seems like perfect weather to go snowboarding, right? And no, I don't mean dune boarding, cool as it may be. I mean snowboarding. You see, Dubai is currently hard at work on the ambitious Meydan 1 project. When completed, Meydan 1 will be an enormous complex housing malls, restaurants, hotels, and the world's largest ski slope. The resort will be in a climate-controlled environment, totally indoors. The slope itself will be absolutely gargantuan, at over half a mile long. And that's not all, though. The resort will feature 21 cinemas, a 277,000 square foot dancing fountain, and a 130,000 square foot winter village. While that may seem amazing to you, just imagine how amazing the concept of real winter, let alone a winter village, is to your typical Dubai local. The resort is estimated to cost $1.5 billion to construct and was originally expected to open in late 2020, with construction work 60% complete in 2019. However, a combination of COVID and low oil prices, which Dubai's economy depends on, took its toll on the construction industry. As such, the Meydan's construction ground to a halt, leaving it only partially finished today. Additionally, the previously mentioned Dubai 1 will also be part of the compound. And, well, no, not that Dubai 1, the other Dubai 1, this one. This will be part of that resort. Let's move on. Let's move on. A museum of the future. We let computers do everything these days. Schedule our calendars, manage our public transportation, and solve math problems we should really be able to do ourselves. But what if I told you Dubai is now using them to design buildings? Welcome to the Museum of the Future. You may be tempted to call the museum a ring or hula hoop, but it's actually a torus shape and was incredibly difficult to get right. So difficult, in fact, that the architect had to rely on an algorithm to finish up some of the more complex design work. It relies on the perfect placement of more than 2,400 steel beams making up its framework, giving it that phenomenally futuristic shape. And those stylish windows don't just look pretty in the day. At night, the outlines of each of them light up and turn the entire building into one heck of a light show. Costing a cool $136 million to construct, it'll feature exhibits showcasing robotics, theoretical future tech, and famous inventors. However, the museum was meant to open in late 2020, but with the pandemic, this date has been pushed back, with no official opening date marked in the calendar just yet. Guess the Museum of the Future could have used some foresight. Spinning skyline. Have you ever been lying in bed when a little beam of light starts annoyingly shining in your face? It sucks, doesn't it? Well, what if you could just rotate your entire apartment away from it? Well, this is Dubai's dynamic tower, and it really lives up to its name. Proposed back in 2008, this skyscraper will reach an impressive 1,378 feet tall and boast 80 floors, which will include both hotels and residential accommodations. But these won't be anchored in place like all of Dubai's other skyscrapers. Each floor of the tower will spin around, apparently taking up to 90 minutes for each floor to complete a full 360-degree rotation. However, the exact speed and rotation of each floor will be set at the owner's discretion via a voice-activated control system. But if it spins around like that, it's definitely not relying on traditional construction methods. So how exactly would such a creative construct be built? Well, the dynamic tower is mostly prefabricated, meaning that the floors and living quarters will be built in a factory in units, and then shipped to the construction site, where they can be installed on a core structure. And because each floor will be assembled on site before being lifted up and locked into their final positions, it's estimated that the dynamic tower would take as little as 18 months to build. This is in contrast to the 30 months a skyscraper of similar height would require. It's also why, despite being totally one of a kind, the skyscraper would cost as little as $330 million to build. Though it was originally pitched for 2020, construction on the tower has yet to begin. If I have to wait much longer, my head's gonna spin. Solar Flex is. If I told you to imagine a grand solar park, what would you think of? Maybe a sun-themed roller coaster, solar panel-covered restaurants, and an anthropomorphic sundial mascot? Well, what they're building over in Dubai is less of a theme park and more of a sight to behold. Introducing the Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Solar Park. The park is part of what is called the UAE Energy Strategy 2050,
which has the goal of converting the entire UAE to green and renewable energy by that year.
One of the cornerstones of this project is Dubai's monstrous solar park. Launching over 5 stages, construction began in 2013 and is expected to be complete by 2030.
Even though only 3 of the park's 5 development stages have been completed, it already holds the record for the world's biggest solar park, covering a colossal 30 square miles of desert.
Inside all that space, the park currently boasts a whopping 2.3 million solar panels. For perspective, there are only 1.47 million solar panels across the entire United States. And by 2030, these panels will generate some of the cheapest electricity in the world at just 1.7 cents per kilowatt hour. For comparison, the average US electricity rate is a costly 13.3 cents per kilowatt hour. In total, the UAE plans to invest $13.6 billion into the park. This hefty cost will amount to hefty savings, though, with most estimates stating the park will save over 6.5 million tons of carbon emissions annually. Man, it's nice to look on the light side of things. Heart of Europe. In Dubai? If you can cast your mind back all the way to the ancient year of 2003, you may remember Dubai's World Islands. An early entry into the city's mass development, the World Islands were a series of 300 completely artificial, habitable, ultra-luxury islands in the shape of a world map, located just off Dubai's coast. This ambitious goal of remaking the world was achieved through a process called land reclamation.
This involves dredging sand from the Persian Gulf's seafloor.
The sand was then made denser through a process called vibrocompaction before it was melded into a shape with GPS technology. After that, the sand was surrounded by millions of tons of rocks for reinforcement, and voila! Dubai had its very own 5.5-mile world. Unfortunately, not long after the land reclamation stage had finished, Dubai was hit hard by the 2008 financial crisis. Having already sunk $15 billion into the project, it was put on hiatus, with only the Lebanon island being fully completed. The World Islands then sat for years unfinished in the ocean, until now. Dubai has excitedly relaunched the world with the Heart of Europe development. As you probably guessed from the name, the Heart of Europe seeks to fully develop several world islands in the European region of the map. Each island will attempt to replicate the architecture, cuisine, and overall feel of their respective nations. The locations are the German islands, the Italian Pontefino, the Swedish Beach Palace, the Venetian Lido, the French Côte d'Azur, and the floating seahorse? Okay, I'm pretty sure there isn't a seahorse country in Europe. Oh, wait, my bad, never mind. In total, the Heart of Europe will cost around $5 billion to develop. So far, only the Swedish islands is complete though. Though to be fair, IKEA does make the assembly instructions pretty easy to follow. Cube Tube. Self-driving cars don't have the best reputations right now, so put on your seatbelts and brace yourself because Dubai has something even wilder in development. In 2019, Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum stated that by 2030, 25% of all transportation options in Dubai will be completely autonomous. The Dubai Transport Authorities propose to do this by building and installing a series of odd-looking cube-shaped vehicles called Next Units to be placed around the city. Once inside the Cube Mobile, you'll tell it your destination and sit back as it smoothly whisks you away. They'll even be able to link up to others if you share a destination. If it helps, you can think of them as cute little personal-sized taxis, just without a driver. While these Next Units won't exactly be traveling at breakneck speeds, averaging out about 12 to 18 miles an hour, they will be convenient and could pave the way for the future of transportation in the UAE. Dubai Transport Authorities expect that it will save the city $6 billion per year by reducing transportation costs, traffic accidents, and carbon emissions. Look, I know in the States we prefer our machines go fast, but can we please work on some Next Units of our own? We can put flame decals on the side if that helps. Iceberg. At this point, you're probably wondering how many more massive towers Dubai can build. I promise, I'm only going to talk about one more. Well, technically, one more. This is the Burj Jumeirah, and as you can see, it is one building, even if it does look like it was sliced in two perfectly down the middle. Jumeirah's two long, slender towers will be connected to one another through a sky bridge, so you can walk from one to the other. Although whether you'll want to is another story, because this brilliant building will tower over Dubai at 1,804 feet tall, nearly twice the size of the Eiffel Tower. Whoa, the view from that bridge is a very long way down. And while construction costs haven't been disclosed yet, the tower is expected to open sometime in 2025. And like this tower didn't stand out enough already, its exterior will be covered in hundreds of digital panels. These panels will be utilized to project all manner of creative videos and displays, which should see it become the centerpiece of many different festivals in the city, no matter if it's day or night. What would you like to see lighting up the face of the Burj Jumeirah? Personally, I think I could play a pretty epic game of Tetris on there. A mall of the future. Are you a picky shopper? Yeah, I know I am. I can spend ages staring at two identical pairs of socks trying to decide which will make my ankles look less fat. So if I ever end up in Dubai's Mall of the World, I don't think I'll ever be seen again. This is because Dubai is currently in the process of building the world's biggest mall. At 8 million square feet, the sheer scale of this mega mall can't be understated. It will be more than twice the size of Vatican City. The mall has reportedly been designed so that a tourist could stay there a full week without ever having to leave. Really, calling the project a mall is a bit of an understatement. It's more like they're building an indoor city. The mall will feature thousands of shops and hotels, but will also include more extravagant elements. In the Mall of the World, you can expect to see a Broadway district staging various international musicals, a 3 million square foot wellness center which will offer everything from makeovers to plastic surgery, and an enormous indoor theme park. A glass dome will apparently cover this theme park, which will open in the winter months when it isn't so hot. The Mall of the World is a staggeringly large and hugely ambitious project. As of right now, its expected completion date isn't known for sure, but it's estimated to cost an unfathomable $6.8 billion at least. Let's just hope some of that money goes toward making the place safe. Can you imagine a Black Friday rush in there? Wow, those were some pretty amazing projects, from spinning skyscrapers to giant observation wheels. Dubai is proud to put most of their mega projects front and center. Which do you think was the most impressive? Let me know down in the comments, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible content. Thanks for watching.